This broadcast is live. Thank you. I'm allergic to rock and roll.
Notice in accordance to copyright regulations, this episode is Quoth is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content will feature sometimes is kid-friendly, the context of the episode is address adults to inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There's always the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, rated TV 16 and up. Welcome once again to Quoth Raven, Lewis by Raven. This is our Friday night genre discussion, and let's welcome our guest co-host, Mr. Jason McNamara, writer of comics and prose fiction books and all cool stuff.
Yeah, I've been promoted to co-host. Yeah. Cheers. I read you, so we can curse on this show?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, motherfuckers.
Yep, I do TV.
You're going to talk about my kids' book. You're one sons of bitches. Do you have kids in your life? Do you want to terrify them?
Yeah.
I wrote a book for you.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me back. I was waiting that whole time to have my first sip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Salute.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was great talking to you. Thank you for having me. What sort of genre stuff do you want to talk about?
Well, usually we have a different genre every week, but I scheduled it for science fiction. Obscure favorite science fiction films and TV shows.
Obscure. Like V?
That was actually one of the ones I was thinking of, yes.
Yeah, do you remember when that lady tore her face off and you saw she was a reptile? And you couldn't wait to go talk about kids on the playground the next day?
Yes. But
that was a good one.
Or when the girl gave birth to her child and it was actually alien. Yes.
Yeah. That was great. I couldn't wait. That was more important than the A-Team in 1984.
I think it was 85, but regardless.
Yes, I was drinking back then. Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
People don't talk about that enough. You know what I did watch recently, which I loved? Do you have a format, or can we just... Okay. Possessor. Did you see that one?
What was that one?
Possessor. It's a movie.
Possessor.
Possessor.
What was it? Was it a movie or something that was on like HBO or Netflix?
It's or something? Movie. But it wasn't. I don't know that it was in theaters because it came out in 2020, and I don't leave the house anyway.
Yeah,
but it was David Cronenberg's kid. It's a Cronenberg kid. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the son of the Fly made a movie called Possessor, and it's his second movie. I heard his first one was terrible, but this one was really good. It's about a lady who's a telepathic hitman. She sends her brain out and she takes over someone's body and uses them to murder people.
Okay, I think I have heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
So I tell you, like, you take that premise and you and I would do that movie like any number of different ways. The choices that I can't remember his name. We'll call him Kid
Brandon. His name's Brandon. Brandon Cronenberg.
We'll call him Kid Cronenberg.
Okay.
Kid Cronenberg. His choices were really, really specific and unique, and I thought they had a really cold but interesting entry point into that kind of story. I was fascinated by it, all these sort of stories really hinge on the ending. Can you pull off the ending? I got to the ending and I was clapping, and my wife was like, "This is ghastly. I cannot believe they did that." And I was like, I'm so happy. Yes. And she was like, "That was terrible." I was like, "I want to watch it again right now." Let's just rewind the whole thing. So it may not be for everybody, but it was for me. So cheers, Kid Cronenberg.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay, there we go. There's one.
Yeah.
So where's the Kickstarter faring on Ghost Band? Your comic.
Well, that was funded back in September.
Yes.
And we got the first issue out sometime in October, November-ish. And then we did a making of PDF that was out by December, I believe. And that was a big undertaking. That was like it's almost like a textbook for how you would make a comic book. It's got the outlines, the beat sheets, the roughs compared to the script pages. I put a bibliography in there. We had interviews with Anka and myself, some original essays. So it was sort of like, if you're ever,
the link?
I can send it back to you. Anytime I put out new material, I put it all in the same folder. You should be able to get all the most recent things in there. It's easy to miss links. I mean, half the Kickstarters I back are for PDFs, and I never get them. And then I don't want to pester them because it's so easy to miss. There's so many updates. It's easy to miss this. So what I'm going to do when the campaign's fully done is I have everyone's emails. I don't like sending people stuff, but I will send everyone a PDF to their inbox when it all is said and done. So when we wrap it up. So it's supposed to be a year-long project. I have the art for issue 2 now. I could even, if you want, I could share my screen really quickly.
Sure.
Can I do that? Yeah, let's share that screen. Boop, boop, boop. This is the right one. Okay. I've got here, it's all laid out in Illustrator, and I am lettering it now. It is this is the art for chapter 2, issue 2. What would be, I'm calling them chapters because they're not really going to be displayed as issues, but it's gorgeous. It's Anka's best work. And
that's nice.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I'll stop sharing now. But the art is delivered. It's awesome. I have the 3rd issue script ready. I'm just giving Anka a week or 2 off to be away from my voice. I don't want to wear them out. You have to be good to your collaborators. I think it's based on how this issue looks. I'm going to tweak issue 3 and issue 4 to just better capitalize on what Anka's doing.
Okay.
So that the first issue script I had written before I had met Anka. Like, it was just really dialed in, and I had, it's harder to interpret something when it's written for anybody. But now that I know Anka's strengths and weaknesses, and just really, I can start to see the script how they illustrate.
More collaborative of an effort. That's all.
Well, I always tell the artists too, like, do whatever you want with it. Like, just interpret it the way you want to interpret it. And some people really will take that. Like Tony Talbot will just throw out the script. He'll like read it once, throw it in a corner, and just draw something. I'm like, I'll make it work. Whereas Greg Hinkle really specifically will do exactly what you tell him to do. Like, if you put it in the script, he goes, nope, works for me, done. Like, he just wants to knock it out. He doesn't want to have to reimagine it, or he may have changed like one panel, I think, in like the 300 pages that we've done together.
Jeez.
So he really wants a full script. Tony just wants to take a script, throw it away, and Anka as will take some liberties. And I'm not looking at the script and look at the art and going, that was supposed to be a 3/4 over the shoulder. I just get the art and go, oh my God, this is great, thank you, and shut up and get out of the way.
So that's cool. Yeah.
So I should have that lettered, and I'll probably have it lettered in a week, but then it has to be proofread because I learned grammar in a barn. So John Hebing is my proofreader. And then ideally by the end of, probably in the early May, we'll have issue 3 out. And then over the summer, we'll get issue 4 out. And then we should be on track. Our goal was to ship the books, the full graphic novels in September. And I think we're on track.
Okay.
We gave ourselves a really realistic schedule. We gave everyone realistic ideas. This is going to take a whole year. And I'm too old to kill myself and pull all-nighters. I don't want to put my collaborators in situations where they're having benchmarks they can't meet. So this was not an aggressive schedule.
Right.
I'm working with Greg Hinkle again on a graphic novel for next summer. Our schedule is going to be comfortable. He's got a child now. He can't pull all-nighters. Like, you just can't abuse your body for comics. As much as we love comics, I don't want people to it's not worth detracting from.
We're not in our 20s anymore.
We're not in our 30s anymore.
Right.
I missed the 30s when things were just falling off my body. That was great.
Yeah.
I'm Irish. I had a surgery this week. When you got Irish skin, things are always growing on it or falling off of it. Don't be Irish. Don't let your kids be Irish. If you have a kid and he comes to you and he goes, "Hey, I think I'm Irish," throw him out of the house. Kick him out.
Man,
Get your pale Irish ass out of here.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this. I've been getting guests every week, and a couple weeks ago I had Aaron Presti as our guest artist, and he's getting shoulder surgery.
Is he?
Yeah, he has to get that taken care of. Otherwise,
you got to prioritize your health, man. This is not. We sit in front of computers all day long. I sit on my bony ass all day long. Yeah. Like, you got to get up and move around. You got to take care of yourself. And as you get older, like I used to be able to have like a 6-pack and a pizza for dinner and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't have pizza now.
You can't have pizza at all?
I mean, I got a slice or two, but I always regret it. I was like, ooh, ah, ooh, ah.
Oh, man.
I got chicken breasts and like peas and carrots.
Oh, wow.
It's boring.
Well, I had pizza, but it was barbecue chicken pizza.
Oh, my God. I mean, I'm sitting here drinking bourbon in front of you, telling you what a health nut I am.
Yes.
You pick your poisons. I'll drink the bourbon. You eat the pizza. We'll meet in the middle. I'll race you to the grave. You're on.
Yeah. Well, I think my dad will beat us both there.
Well, that's what parents are for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lost my mom a couple years ago. And, that's just part of getting older, is that, we're at the age where, well, I don't want to make this morose, but we're at the age where, that last Indiana Jones movie was terrible. But he did say one thing I thought was like really insightful.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm at the age where life starts taking things away rather than giving them to you, or something like that. I only saw the movie once. I've never seen it again. But I do think once you're in your 40s, like, you start losing things.
Mm-hmm.
You start losing people. You start losing certain doors close, and they never open up again.
Yeah.
So it's always good to take stock of what you have and appreciate what you have, because it's not always going to be here. You don't take it for granted. It's always going to be here. So, our parents, we will hopefully outlive our parents, what we're supposed to do, but we also have to have the burden of closing those doors and seeing to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's funny.
It does change you.
I got this thing in the mail, and this is, I don't know if you can see this.
This shouldn't be how we say hello or goodbye. Yeah.
And the first thing I thought of when I saw this was, yes, they need to have their hands spread out, Vulcan style. That's how you do it.
Well, yeah. Now we're going to take our folks to Planet Genesis. It's all going to be fine.
Yeah. I love how you segued without even knowing that.
I know. Well, we've covered it all. We've cursed at children. We got morose about our parents dying. And did we talk about comic books or anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
But yes, we got. We did talk about comics. Talk about your Ghost Band.
Oh, that's right.
But you have another Kickstarter.
I do a completely different book.
It's not even comics. It's actually prose fiction, correct?
Yeah. I wrote a book. I co-wrote it actually with Adrienne Ambrose, who is she has a long resume of writing young adult or middle grade novels, and she's always been a good friend of mine, and she has always pushed me to work in prose. So during the late COVID times in the spring, she was like, she called me up one day. She's like, let me guess, you're just sitting around in the dark listening to horror soundtracks. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not completely dark, but yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. And she was like, let's do something together, write an outline, or let's do something. And we kicked around a bunch of ideas, and we realized we had like too many ideas for middle grade books. And it was not something I would normally do on my own or be pushed to. But then once I thought about it, this is what I read when I was a kid, like Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Detectives. There was a Twilight series, not the sparkly vampires, but there was a series of young adult thrillers. And I loved this sort of stuff. And I forgot about how much time I spent as a kid reading these books in between comic books and my dad's savage sort of Conan and his Playboys. Like in the middle of all that were these young adult readers. So I was like, I don't know, I can't do it. And then I locked myself in this office for 3 days, and I had an 8,000 word outline. And I was like, hey, I think I may have written something. And she's like, oh, you did. And then she took it and rewrote it, and they gave it back to me, and we batted it back and forth. And now we have a 16,000 word middle grade chapter book about a young boy whose phone gets messages from a day in the future. You ever like send a text to someone, they don't get it for like a day, or you get a text like a day late?
Yeah.
I thought, wouldn't it be great if you were getting texts a day early and like you would have to piece together like what's about to happen? So of course there's a disaster coming up, and there's a school bully, and then there's this girl with perfect curly hair. And so he's got a couple days to put it all together, and of course it's down to the wire, and it's called Tomorrow is a Day Behind. And if it gets funded, if we're lucky enough, it's a $2,000 goal. We're at 1786, 3 days left. If it gets funded, we also have illustrations from the great Justin Greenwood from Stumptown, from Stringers. He works with Greg Rucka a lot. He's just an all-around great guy. He did a Hamilton graphic novel. So if we can get to 2,000, then the book gets published. We get to print it and ship it to everybody. And then we'll do another one over the summer, because we have too many ideas and too many outlines. And this was the easiest project I've ever been a part of. Like, it just came together so quick. The hardest part was sitting on it until we were ready to kickstart it. I wrote it. It's been done for months, and the art has been done for some time. I just really wanted to get out of the political season. I didn't want to compete with everything else going on, so we just held off. And also, I wanted to make sure that we had some advancement on Ghostband. I didn't want to do one and then not fulfill that and then have another one right afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get Ghostband at least out of the gate and moving. This is very different audience and a different kind of book. Mm-hmm. And also, this one isn't really relying on me so much. If I drop dead tomorrow, this will still come out.
This is 126 pages, so it's a decent length.
It's decent length. It's got 6 full-page illustrations from Justin Greenwood, the great Justin Greenwood. And it's just a lot of fun to write prose. It's something really freeing to know. Well, I would say this way. Originally, I was terrified because you can hide behind artwork as a writer when you write comics. You're letting that, but it's really sort of exposing you. Like, can you really string a sentence together? It's a totally different thing to write prose. So I was really nervous about it, and then I realized, like, oh no, like if you can read a lot, which you do, you get inspired. It's there. It's a muscle you don't flex very often. But now that I've done it, we've outlined a whole bunch of books, and I'm just super excited just to have something where I'm not waiting for art. I emailed an artist today. I was like, we started this project 3 years ago. Just FYI, like I have a book that was started 3 years ago, and it's only like 20 pages in. Oh, I'm like, are we doing this or not?
Yeah. I
you know what that's like.
It's way too much. I've been on both ends of that as both the writer and the artist, where I've kind of flaked out. I'm not going to lie, but then the reason I flaked out was because the writer was kind of a douche.
Right. So in that case, I'm the douche writer.
Well, no. No.
You've never worked with me. Who knows? I might be honest.
That's true.
Honestly, I think I'm too late.
I think I know how to take care of you, though. I think I just, we just, whenever we have an argument, we'll just settle it. Here's a bottle of bourbon. Shut up.
Sure. Done. What issues? No, I want to be good to my collaborators. I never push that. I don't want to. It's not worth being an awful human being to get a book done. And plus, you've been in comics long enough. You see people behave really, really poorly, or really, really like their heads disappear up their own assholes, and you think, I just don't want to be that. It's not worth it to me. Like, look, we're all gonna die poor in like in a pile of our own mess, crying for our mothers. That's just how it's gonna end for all of us. So let's just be good human beings between now and then, whether it's tomorrow, later tonight, or early tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I just it's interesting though. I mean, like you say, this past year especially, not just because of COVID, but because, well, the last 4 years of rhetoric. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's not been a good time to be an artist because we're sensitive bastards. And we feel the weight and the anxiety of everything. It's like contagious.
Yeah.
So, it's been a hard space to get work done in and to feel optimistic. And also the arts don't get funded as much during conservative administrations. They just don't. There was not funding for the arts. The purses closed down. I was getting a lot more freelance work before 2016. It dried up in 2017. It just did. And all of a sudden, it's coming back. Like this fall, immediately, I had opportunities that I hadn't had before, freelance and otherwise. Greg Kinkle and I were offered a really good opportunity. So the graphic novel that we're doing now, we're not kickstarting that. That actually has a publisher you've probably heard of behind it. So all these doors just started opening. There were people inquiring about film rights. Nothing's been signed, but there's interest that wasn't there before because we were all paralyzed by what's going on or distracted.
Yeah, I think distracted is a good word.
Yeah, it's an exhausting. Wherever you land in politics, it's just exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
And we want to have it's a hard space to create it. So I feel like the pendulum is swinging back towards normalcy or being able to work in this environment, being productive in this environment. And I honestly feel like I lost an entire year. Like I feel like a year of productivity was robbed from me. All my friends are like, "Oh, this must be great. You know, you have to stay home for a year. You must have written a whole bunch of stuff." And I was like, "Not really."
No, that's
a misnomer. Because if you're not healthy, you're not working. If you're in pain or depressed,
you're depressed. You're dealing with everybody else's anxieties and complaints and everything, and you're just like, guys, you're not helping yourselves. Just step off of that and let's focus on other things, But
yeah, I felt like we were all collectively holding our breath. Like you want to talk about science fiction? We just lived through a year of science fiction.
Yeah, yeah, we did. Yeah. Have you seen the Watchmen miniseries from HBO?
Sure did. Loved it. It was great. You know what I loved about it?
Go ahead.
Is that we keep seeing like comic books like this is a prequel comic for the new Godzilla or whatever. They'll do comic books that are prequels to a movie, and then they'll do like comic book sequels to a movie or a continuation like Buffy or Firefly. Like we'll do comic book later seasons. I have never ever seen a comic book given such respect that they made a live action sequel to the book. Like they said, the book is legitimate. It's not an inferior art form. Everyone knows it. Millions of people have read it. We don't need to redo that's what I thought it was. When I heard Damon Lindelof, whatever, was that who did it?
Yeah, Damon Lindelof.
Yeah, you put his name on there. Immediately, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, they're just going to redo I don't want to see the graphic novel as a live action. Like, the graphic novel is the graphic novel. We've
already seen it. It's a movie. We don't need to see a series.
Yeah, but also, like, but the show, Watchmen, the TV show, is a sequel to the graphic novel, not whatever Zack Snyder did. And I love that they treated it like its own art form and that they did a sequel. You've never seen a live action sequel to a comic book. They always have to readapt it to make it legitimate. But no, I love that comic books now has the stature of being that's its art form. Yeah. This is a different type of media, but it's still a sequel to that, which I thought was great. And I thought the show was really, really well done. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about the show was that it's going to tie up. Alan Moore's never getting those rights back. Like, just tie those rights up forever. Yeah. That was my only downside. I was like, poor Alan. But also, like, I love that we got that show. And I don't know that Alan would have done that or allowed that to happen.
Yeah, that's true. It was really well done. I liked how when Alan's version, of course, it was about what was politically prevalent in that era, which was the 80s.
Yeah.
And Lindelof was able to take a lot of what's going on in our political society right now and our social society and the white supremacy or just racism in general. That's even though there's a white supremacist group in the show, and use that as the backdrop for the whole thing. Yeah. And it makes sense. It takes place now instead of, immediately after. And it also gave us something very important, the historical acknowledgement of Tulsa, Oklahoma bombing.
Yeah. How sad is that? Do we have to be educated from a TV show? Like, did we didn't get to?
I remember. I knew about it, but I was like, I'd forgotten. I just totally forgotten about it. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. Oh,
and it wasn't that long ago. It's not ancient history.
No, it's not.
And
it was just like, wow, okay, I all right, where's this going? And then as it progresses, like, okay, this is interesting. I wasn't really keen on what they did with Ozymandias, but I thought Jeremy Irons did a beautiful job with it.
Oh, Jeremy Irons is great. He spends a long time there. It sort of reminded me of the Twin Peaks revival, where Coop spends a long time in Vegas. Like 20 episodes in Vegas.
Yeah.
But Ozymandias is also, you're not supposed to like him or root for him. He's supposed to be
sure.
off the board. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I thought was kind of weird at first was I don't really want to like
ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, spoil things.
Let's not ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it because it is fantastic.
Yeah, but the what did you think of the relationships between Dr. Manhattan and Sister Night and Laurie?
Honestly, I watched this 6 or 7 months ago when it came out.
Okay, I just watched it.
I don't know that I could get into the details of it. I think Dr. Manhattan has always been kind of a kinky fellow.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can't assign our romantic or relationship traits to us. A being of that magnitude. There are many different sort of lifestyles and things going on in America.
Yeah.
He is not going to live like you and I live.
True. At first, I just thought it was kind of weird at first, but then I said, wait a minute, this is Dr. Manhattan and exactly what you said. He's not like the rest of humanity. He's living at all different times and all this other stuff. Okay, all right. Yeah.
He's going to have a more, oblique sort of appeal to relationships. They are a time and a place. And look, he's right. Relationships don't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most dire podcast I've ever been on. Dead parents, dead relationships, blue people orgies, and kids' books.
Yeah. Well, this is what you get. You do obscure science fiction. You get the weird shit.
You get obscure science fiction. So I saw you had New Mutants in the title. Did that come out yet?
Oh yeah, it's been out.
Did it really come out? I know they said that it was going to come out. Like I wasn't falling for that anymore. Like Lucy and the Football.
Yeah, no, it's out. It's been out on DVD and it came out in theaters. Actually, I think it was last. Let me check real quick. I know it was out.
I believe you. Did you see it? Was it any good?
Oh yeah, I just watched it last week.
I have no faith in the Fox studio system.
Mm-hmm.
Fox is notorious for just destroying. They've always been more release date driven than they have like their content. Mm-hmm. I don't see them really taking care of their content.
Yeah,
you saw that with the Alien franchise. I saw it with the X-Men franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Then the X-Men franchise succeeded despite Fox.
Mm-hmm.
First Class was the best one they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's more of Matthew Vaughn than it was Fox. I don't see them as being good caretakers, unfortunately.
Yeah. Let's see here.
And also, everyone's playing with the X-Men franchise. It's like I'll be honest, I didn't see the Dark Phoenix either. I gave up. I think I pieced out during Apocalypse.
Okay. It was actually in theaters as of August of last year.
Cool. Well, I hope those three people had a good time.
Yeah, it got $46.7 million at the box office.
That's honestly, for the middle of a pandemic, that is not terrible at all.
No, it's not. It was directed by Josh Boone and produced by Karen Rosenfeld, Lauren Schuler Donner, and Simon Kinberg. Written by Josh Boone and Nate Lee. Based upon New Mutants by Claremont and Bob McLeod. Starring Blue Hunt as Danny Moonstar, Maisie Williams as Wolfsbane, Rain Sinclair, Charlie Heaton as Sam Guthrie Cannonball, Anna Taylor-Joy as Ileana Rasputin, also known as Magic, Henry Zaga as Roberto, I can't remember his last name anymore, but Sunspot, and Alice Braga as Dr. Cecilia Reyes. Production company was, of course, Marvel Entertainment, Genre Films, and Sunswept Entertainment, produced by 20th Century Studios. Runtime was an hour and 34 minutes, rated PG-13.
Hmm. Well, look, I don't root for these things to fail or succeed. I would love to see a good New Mutants movie. I just didn't have faith. This felt like a casualty in a corporate pissing contest.
Actually, I really thought, well, let's put it this way. I wrote everything in the plot, but let's just skip the plot for the moment. There we go.
You wrote a lot about this.
Yeah, well, I was describing the plot mainly. I did enjoy the movie, but I felt like the writers and directors failed to present the characters correctly. It's kind of like an ersatz version of the New Mutants.
Sure.
Bobby's powers do not burn other people, but they do in this movie.
Okay.
The reason he's fearful and he's in his hospital is because when his powers manifested, he was with his girlfriend and he burned her alive.
Okay.
Which means it's more like they were trying to merge him with Amara Aquila, who was Magma in the comics, but she doesn't appear in the movie. So that was a little bit off. You can see from the picture that Sam has a cast on his arm.
Yeah.
That didn't fly with me because his powers when he's blasting or flying, he's invulnerable. So why would he have a broken arm from landing or flying? That didn't quite make sense. Little things like this kind of creep up a lot. If Ileana can teleport through limbo, which can technically carry her through time and space, then Cecilia Reyes' force fields that are holding them there at the hospital facility so they can't escape really shouldn't have any effect on her.
Huh. Yeah, it's
little things like that. That
Magic is sort of a convoluted character to explain succinctly to an audience. If you had to introduce her, look, she looks great, and that actress is great. I've seen her in other things.
Oh yeah, there's something really cool though about it. She has Lockheed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Lockheed in our dimension is a hand puppet doll that she carries with her everywhere.
when you say our dimension,
you're
talking about mine and your dimension?
Well, yeah, the non-limbo dimension.
Okay. Reality.
Yeah, reality. And
it's a great place to visit if you got somewhere else to be.
Yes. But then it turns into the dragon when she's in limbo.
Okay. That's cute.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
I'll go with that.
Yeah. And of course, the kids think that they're there to learn how to use their powers because they're going to be with the X-Men eventually. And that's what they think. But I was like, but in reality, they're actually being used to be trained killers.
Mm-hmm. Like a Project X type thing or Weapon X type thing.
Yeah. John Norris has arrived finally. He was over at rehearsal. He just got in.
Thanks for showing up, John. Thanks for joining us, John. You missed all this talk about magic and sock puppets.
Yes.
We're talking about the New Mutants porn parody called New Perverts.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes, that Soul Sword's quite long.
Crickets from John. All right, John. Well, when you're ready to open up your browser history, we'll talk.
Yeah. But anyway, like I said, I did enjoy it for what it is. I just kind of like it's its own thing. It's not really what the X-Men movies were. It's really not. I don't see where it's going to really fit into what they're going to do moving forward with the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Mutants in. But for what it is, it's not bad. It's enjoyable. Fluff.
Right, and not every movie needs to be a be-all, end-all. I also don't think all these movies have to fit together in these neat little bricks. Like, if you could do a horror movie version of the X-Men, I'd be down for that.
Mm-hmm.
It just looked really... It didn't look like it had a lot of tooth to it.
Mm-hmm. That's what John said. It didn't look
interesting, yeah. It looked like you were just checking off a box in corporate. I would like it to succeed. I want Bill Sienkiewicz do the poster art. Like I want him to succeed. I want Claremont to succeed. I want Bob McLeod's name to be spelled right in the credits. That's what I remember. It's like I got his name wrong. Like what a kick in the dick.
Yeah.
The guy co-created it. You can't get his name right. It just shows you how like Fox doesn't really care about the movies. I feel like they're more about their TV.
Yeah. But like I said, they had Danny and Rain in a romance angle. The director said, well, it's just an extension of their mental rapport that they used to have, because psychic rapport, because they used to be able to. And I'm like, yeah, but first you have to establish the rapport that they have psychically before you worry about developing it as a romance. The reason you have it as a romance there is because there's got to be some sexuality, because it's a horror movie with teens, and there's always some sort of sexuality going on with teen horror movies.
I mean, I looked at it and I saw Dream Warriors. I saw, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And if you're in,
yeah, I can see that.
If you're in, like, if you work with people, if you work with a group of people, or if you're in an institution with people, it's like you're going to co-mingle and you're going to co-date. Like, I get that. That's not I'm for that, but it just didn't look. It looks too disposable, which is a shame, because I think you could diversify. I think if DC is doing anything right these days, it's like every movie has like a different flavor. They're not hitting the same thing over and over again. Like if you love Birds of Prey, maybe you don't like the new Wonder Woman movie, but like at least they're not trying to. They've sort of given up on this cohesive shared universe. And they're like, we're just going to do good standalone movies of different flavors, and I think that's the right way to go. Yeah, I think Marvel was really, really, really lucky, and I don't think trying to reproduce that model is going to work for anyone else.
Right. Well, I gave New Mutants basically 3 out of 5, which means it's a middle of the road movie.
3 out of 5, very generous. Raven, please. 3 out of 5. You're an easy review. Everyone send your movies to the Raven. 3 out of 5.
Oh no. I trash a lot of stuff too. We did talk about Watchmen. That got a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah. Okay. Deservedly.
Yeah. I think maybe because you heard so much. I mean, maybe I'm being nice or generous to New Mutants because I heard so much bad about it that it's like, no, it's not as bad as people said it was. That could be. I
just think all those release dates. Like I had heard about it for so long. By the time it came out, I was already tired of hearing about it. It's like the new James Bond movie. I feel like that thing has come out 5 fucking times already. Like I don't care. Like I would not be surprised if it was on Netflix next time I looked, as like something that had already come out and gone. Just because we can only stay excited about things for so long, or be excited about it, or you know what I mean, like on the edge of our seat. So I think New Mutants was a casualty of that. I think James Bond will be a casualty of that. What else has been rescheduled to death? Quiet Place 2. Come on, like. How the moment's passed. So I feel bad for Hollywood. There was a lot of big things that just got shuffled. Yeah. I think Wonder Woman actually coming on TV probably underplayed expectations. If you didn't have to leave your house, drive and park, and wait in line and deal with the public, if you just stream that at home, you're going to be like, well, okay, I didn't have to leave the house. Like, you're not going to be that judgmental or cruel about Wonder Woman 84. Because it's underwhelming.
Yeah, well, I read the plot and I was just like, I don't know.
It's just there's a lot of web slinging in that movie. She swings around from that lasso way too much. They really rely on the lasso, and they make you really groan at it's really campy. It's a movie from the 90s. It feels like of the Schumacher Batman mold, which is a shocker because I didn't think they made comic book movies like that anymore.
Well, this is
not that I need a gritty, grounded Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? I don't.
No, but that's interesting because it is a film that's taking place in '84.
Right, but it's not even the '80s. It feels like '90s. It feels like the tone is all over the place, and it makes some just weird decisions that I'm just like, I don't get this at all.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I heard that nobody really liked was apparently the way they brought Steve Trevor back was not something that people liked.
It's gross. It's like really he's in another man's body, and then Wonder Woman immediately goes to Pound Town with him, but he's in some other guy's body, and then she's like, "You don't have a passport." I'm like, well, but the guy whose body he's in might have a passport, but just go steal a fucking plane anyway. Like, it was just like a bunch of like weird like logic like that. And then later she sees the guy she banged and she's like, "What's up?" And this is like a scene for no reason when she runs into this guy and she's like, "Yeah, I plowed you."
Oh, Jesus.
So weird. Like, you didn't have to do that. If it's magic, he just shows the fuck up. Done. Steve Trevor. And the other thing is that Steve Trevor steals that movie. Like, Chris Pine is so charismatic in both of those movies.
Yeah, yes.
And nothing against the actress who plays Wonder Woman. She's asked to do too much. She's asked to be so pure and so good. And you have to be so careful with having a female superhero because you don't want to put them in the wrong light, right? Like, there's almost like there's such a tough spot to be in with Wonder Woman. Anyway, that Steve Trevor unfortunately gets to run away with the story. So I don't know how you do a third one without him. So yeah, I mean, it was really well intentioned. The costumes are great. They don't really do a whole lot with the time period. Also, it's 1984. Like, there's obviously there's the greed error. You have this Trump stand-in, this sort of Wall Street error, but they don't do a whole lot with it. And I don't know. It's just really hokey and hammy and just over. It's for kids. It's not for me. Everyone tried their best. The performances are good. The plot is just like ludicrous. And Wonder Woman honestly feels like she's hardly in it. So, yeah.
She might be physically present, but the persona is not there. The gravitas is not there.
Yeah, it's really not a story about her.
Yeah.
So it really felt like a swing and a miss to me. It felt like another error, and who knows, you know. So I think if it came out in theaters, people would be really upset. I think the reaction has been a little bit like, "Hey, we got a movie! Thanks for giving us a movie."
Yeah, well, I always thought the first one was a little bit overrated. I mean, it was good.
It was not bad.
Yeah,
and honestly, like, DC is on a sliding scale because some of their movies are really tonally like I don't. Man of Steel, I was not my thing.
No,
and I knew then that whatever. I honestly did not see Batman vs Superman, and I didn't see Justice League because I'm not a big Ben Affleck.
You say Man of Steel, you mean the one with Brandon Routh as Superman?
No, the one with Henry Cavill. The first
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. I watched that one. I go, this is just not for me.
Yeah,
it's really too noisy. It's too much. The spaceships look like dildos. Everyone's yelling and screaming all the time. I'm like, it's just. Everything's at 12, and I would like an 8 every now and then. And then when they just doubled down with Ben Affleck and whatever wig he's wearing this year, I was like, it's not for me. Like, but here's the thing about Batmans: if you don't like the current Batman, just wait 5 years and you'll get another one. Like, I'm not going to go online and complain about it. Everyone's got their own Batman, and people love the Ben Affleck Batman, and I hope they do. I liked Michael Keaton. I also like Christian Bale's great. But, you just wait a couple years.
Christian Bale's was good. Yeah.
If you don't like this James Bond, just chill out. You'll get another one. They'll make another one for you. So, and we're spoiled, right? We're spoiled. We got so many options.
Well, speaking of another comic made into a TV series, Sci-Fi just launched their new series, Resident Alien, based on the Dark Horse comic.
Oh.
About the alien that crash lands on Earth and takes the place of a human doctor, trying to fit into society. I read the comic. I enjoyed the comic. Unfortunately, the comic is in its last story arc. It's almost done for the conclusion of the whole series. I watched the pilot, and the pilot is nothing like the comic. No. It's interesting.
But do you need it to be?
Well, the alien in the comic doesn't have a plan to destroy the Earth. In the TV show, he does. So it's like a completely different show. Just in that respect,
Okay.
Yeah. But I figure, based on what I know of the comic, if they follow the trajectory of the comic, he'll change his mind because he gets,
or he'll get to know us and decide to kill us sooner.
Yeah, maybe.
I might if I was an alien and I came here.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, what are you doing on YouTube on a Friday night? You're dead. You're dead, kid.
You almost sound like Alan Tudyk.
Oh, do I? He's a good actor. I haven't seen the show. Normally, what I do with shows is I wait until they get good reviews for like 6 months, and then I watch all of them like in a day.
Ah.
I have no self-control. I'm a binger. You've seen me drink. I just want to watch. I want everything now. If I like something, I want more until they're all done, and then I crash.
Ah, that makes sense. No, that makes sense. It does. Yeah. So we're sitting here on 3 days left for your Kickstarter for Creepers. Tomorrow is day behind. Creepers. And basically, he gets his phone that's giving the future, a day in the future.
He's getting text messages from a day in the future, yeah.
And he has to figure out what's going on.
Something bad's going to happen. And he's got this crush with this girl, beautiful curly hair, and he's worried about her. And he finds out she's going to be in danger. So he's got to put the clues together to save his crush and work around the school bully, Clyde.
That's his name?
Yeah, that was almost my name. My dad almost named me Clyde. So I always liked that name. I always named characters Clyde because it's such a jerk name. Had my dad won that argument and called me Clyde, why, I'd probably be the Unabomber Part 2 or something. Who knows what would happen to me. But thankfully, my mother intervened.
So we got Pledge Without a Reward is $10 because it's always $10, I think, for Kickstarter.
Yeah, but you can make that anything. You make that $1. I'll take $1. I'm not too proud. For $6, we'll send you a PDF of the book. You don't have to leave your house. You don't get my dirty fingerprints all over it. But for $12, I'll ship it to you. And I'll sign it. Adrienne will sign it. Justin will sign it. And we'll drop it in the mail, and it'll show up at your house. And you'll get to read it, and you'll get the chills.
And you'll still get the PDF that he doesn't touch.
Yeah. You'll get to read that first. So you can laminate the book and put it in your bomb shelter. For $20, you get 2 copies. It's twice as creepy. Maybe you've got 2 children in your life, and you don't want to give them one book to fight over. Calm down, kids. We got enough creepers for everybody.
Awesome.
I don't want to break up a happy home. And then there was a bunch of original art rewards. So the rewards went from $20 to $100. If anything, we probably could have used some more intermediate rewards. But I also didn't want to get into the trash and trinket business. I wanted to have like a really clean fulfillment period. Like I just want to get books, sign them, and ship them. Once you're dealing with like stickers and postcards, like I feel like that stuff it's necessary. It's part of the Kickstarter culture. But I wanted to see, like, could we succeed without that and just work it as a pre-order? So this is a bit of an experiment. The next time you might see more mid-tier rewards, or you'll see bundles of Volume 1 and Volume 2. Plus, Adrienne has a whole library of books that we could have added in bundles. But I wanted to see, like, cleanly, just what would we get selling a book? Just like a paperback book, boom, ship it to you. Also, you can ship media mail. If it's a prose book, comic books, you can't. You have to ship first class. So all of this is sort of an experiment. I want to see, can this be a model that we can build on and work on?
That's interesting. Because you'd be surprised how many comic books I've been receiving in media mail lately.
Yeah, and what condition do they show up in?
Very, very nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever I do a Kickstarter, I go to the post office, and I always say, hey, I'm doing a Kickstarter. Can I get a bunch of totes? And I always want to give them a heads up. I'm just going to keep talking. That I'm doing a Kickstarter, and like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be bringing in a couple hundred packages. And they always say, don't ship comics media mail. It's the first thing they would say to me. It's like, I'm going to play first class. So I feel like it's something that they've been burned on. And my great fear is always that I will ship a bunch of comic books and that the post office will make the backers pay the difference between media mail and first class.
Right. I just got these in the mail today. Okay.
Monkeys vs. Robots. Okay, but does it have a barcode on it? Like, does it have like a flat spine? No. I feel like that's the dividing line with the post office. If it has like a flat spine, square bound.
I think as long as you pack it like in one of these, it gets
Gemini.
Yeah,
that's what I have. Gemini mailers.
Yeah.
So I generally do priority mail or first class with comic books because I don't want them to get beat up and I want them to get to someone soon. Like part of the immediacy of backing a Kickstarter is there's a momentum to it. You're excited. I don't want to capitalize on that excitement and get the book to you while you're still excited. Ghostman was the exception where I actually needed the funds from the Kickstarter to produce the book.
Yeah, it's just a normal.
Look at that. And they ship that media mail?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's turn them in to the postal cops. Hello, postal police. I've got another one. Monkeys vs. robots. They got away with it.
Yeah, they did a nice job. I just got that in the mail today. I hadn't even opened it yet.
I think I backed them PDF as a digital level.
But yeah, all kinds of prints and.
Yeah, they're not supposed to. Technically, you can't include a print or a sticker or anything with media mail. Yeah, at any point in the chain, they could open it up and send it back. Or worse, they would knock on your door and say, "Okay, Raven, if you want to accept this package, you owe us 27 cents." Which is what you never want to treat your backers like that.
Yeah.
So I always err on the side of caution. We always do priority. Generally, if anything over 15 ounces, I ship priority mail, and I just eat the difference.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a customer service issue.
Sure.
I want that to show up in the best possible condition.
Yeah.
And I have backers. You can ship them 2 or 3 things, and their mail person is just a prick, and is going to bend it and shove it in there. You could don't bend. You could put titanium plates in there. That guy's going to bend it over his knee and jam it in a fucking box.
Titanium plates.
Yeah.
Put the titanium plate in and let him do it, then. Crack.
Yeah. Every campaign, there's one person that you mail something 2 or 3 times to, and their mail person is just like, fuck you.
Yeah, you can't have this.
Nope. I know that Jason McNamara. Fuck him. Him and his kids' books.
Him and his comics.
I'm out of bourbon. Look what you've done to me, Raven. I'm sucking on an ice cube now.
Oh,
what have we covered? Okay, so New Mutants sucks. Wonder Woman 84 sucks. Possessor, great movie. Watchmen, great. 9 out of 5 stars. Ghost Band issue 2, the best issue of Ghost Band yet.
Yeah.
You know what? After this is over, I'll send you the PDF link for the making of PDF, the demo tapes.
Okay.
I was super proud of that. That took a little bit of time to put together, but I love it. I geek out on process stuff and how people do things. So I always love the roughs compared to the script, and how you pitch an outline and like what a one sheet looks like, all that stuff that we don't normally see in comic book stuff. Because it's PDF, I can make it 80 pages and even give you a bibliography of all my influences in the movie.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I slag some real sacred cows.
So it is 6 for the digital and 12 for the signed book for Creepers.
And it's signed by everyone. I even got the artist. I bent his arm. I called in all the favors on this one. I'm going to have him open up a box of books, sign them, and ship them back to me. We're all in different spots, too. I'm in Oregon. Justin's in, well, I don't want to say where everyone is, but they're all in different cities.
Yeah.
I want them to retain their anonymity. But I'm in Oregon. You can go. I'm a public figure. You can find me. I'm out there licking handrails. Yeah. Just riding the bus.
Yeah. That's why I was so surprised that you didn't know that Aaron was going to have shoulder surgery soon, because he's in Oregon, too.
Well, we don't all talk to each other. Is he a redhead?
No, he's bald.
Yeah, I only talk to redheads. The guy that cuts my hair is a redhead. The guy who does my taxes is a redhead. It's a redhead economy. We all have these ginger bucks that we spread between each other.
Okay.
Yeah. Every comic book creator lives in Oregon. We just don't know each other because we don't leave the house anymore.
That could be.
Yeah.
It is a huge hotbed there in Portland and parts of Oregon. That's true. Is that because everybody left Washington though?
I think it's because we all left the Bay Area, like Image Comics. Like we all just, I think San Francisco used to be filled with comic book creators, but also Oregon always had a bunch of comic book creators, and the scene here was always great. Even when I was in San Francisco, I would come up here to do the Stumptown Comic Fest, which no longer exists. But they used to give out these really crappy awards. They would like go to they would find like awards at like Goodwill and restamp them and be like best comic book of the year. It'd be like a football trophy. It was really fun. Yeah, the Stumptown Comic Fest was a lot of fun. And then 2 years ago, they had a small indie Portland Comic Fest for the first time in years. This gentleman John threw it, and it was great. And I taught a comic book writing class. And it was just like low key. It wasn't like at the Moscone Center. It wasn't like this big convention thing. It wasn't, You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a bunch of TV stars charging for autographs. It was like just a room full of like comic book people. And it was like the most fun I've had at a convention in a long time. I was across from Joe Keating, Layla Del Duca was there. Like we just had like all these like comic book. It was just comic book people. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, so they didn't do it again this year. But I hope they do it again
Eventually.
I just like the lower, lower. I don't do like big cons. I don't want to see some dildo dressed up like Deadpool walking around making jokes. Like I've seen 1,100 guys cosplaying as Deadpool, and they're not as funny as Ryan Reynolds or good looking as Ryan Reynolds. You know.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just not my scene. I'm just too old for that. I just want to talk comics, and I don't want to be next to somebody whose entire livelihood is based off of doing bootlegs of Harley Quinn. It's always what happens. At every convention, I'm like, oh, this person just does bootlegs of Harley Quinn. I feel so bad for them. They're going to have such a bad weekend. And then the weekend starts, and they make like $1,100 every minute. You know, they're just like making money hand over fist. And I'm like, oh, no, I got this wrong. They should feel sorry for me.
Yeah, because you're not. What are you doing? You know.
Yeah, I'm a chump here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I made it. I made an original comic book about a werewolf, a zombie, and a vampire.
Yes.
And I'm trying to sell that over the line of people trying to buy bootleg Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So comic book conventions, I love them. But maybe it's not the best spot for an indie creator to be always. Yeah. So I find doing something else or doing it through Kickstarter, that's just a better venue for me.
Yeah. Well, I sit there and I laugh at it in a way now because I mean, if I go to a show and there's just a few people, you know, and not a huge cosplay contingent, like you say, you do okay.
Yeah.
But once you get that cosplay contingent in there, it's just like
you're just a backdrop for their photo ops. And like, look, I get it. It's its own art form. You love what you love. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like marrying the two of them is bad business. Mm-hmm. Like if you're trying to sit behind a table and sell comics and talk to people, and some guy, there's a boop boop bop bop R2D2, people taking pictures with it. It's just like these two things don't really. At a certain point, there's a tipping point where it's like bad business. I just lose money going to conventions, and I love the costumes. I think it's great, but like putting the two together, it just doesn't always fit.
Well, I think what they need to do is say time X to time Y is creator time. And then afterwards, we can do shit with the cosplayers.
Or, have the cosplay shows or have a cosplay ball or have a
cosplay ball and contest after business hours.
Yeah. It's just, and I also just like, I'm not great with crowds, so I can't like move around. You're trying to move and then someone has to stop and pose for pictures and you're just like, for fuck's sake, I just got to go to the goddamn bathroom. I have a tiny bladder. My bladder could fit on the head of a pin. It's so small. And as I've gotten older, it's just only gotten smaller. So it's all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be the grouchy old man. Like, I'll just stay home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I tend to be the grouchy old man at the conventions anymore. That's why I don't do them like I used to.
Yeah, we're just grouchy old men, you and I.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these cosplayers, it's like...
I like how you say that. You sound like a guy on his porch with a shotgun and these cosplayers. You know what I'm saying? These cosplayers. Where do they come from? What do they want?
They want to be the center of attention. Is what they want. I mean, we know what they want.
Well, look, costuming is amazing. Like my wife does costuming. Like it's its own art form. But combining like pageantry and costumes in a retail space, it's an awkward fit. Right? So if you're behind a table for 4 or 5 days and you need to sell books to make back your money, and people keep posing for a photo in front of you, like it's distracting. You need foot traffic to come to your table and be able to talk to it. And like I like looking at the costumes. I'm always like, that's fucking amazing. Like, how did you do that? Sure. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm at work. I mean, like I'm trying to recoup the cost of this table, which were not cheap. The hotel was not cheap. Per units I'm paying for these things. It's a weird marriage for me anyway. I'm sure for other people it's not.
Well,
these cosplayers.
When I say this, I guess I'm saying is,
I dress up like Michael Myers like every day of the year and walk around my neighborhood trying to get shot, right? Some days I'm in a Halloween 4 mood. Some days I'm in a Halloween 6 mood. Some days I go out original style, Halloween 1.
But I don't know. Before the advent of the invasion of cosplayers, the grandparents brought their kids to the shows. Mm-hmm. And I don't see those families anymore.
Are you missing the grandparents? That's your rank?
Yeah, because the grandparents will spend money on their grandkids. But if the kids
I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
That's sweet, sweet grandpa income.
I hate that it's the truth.
You never know who is buying your books. You should never guess who you're.
I'm just saying who came to I used to, when I was doing really good money at the shows, it was always these older folks that bring their grandkids, and they'd have like 4 or 5 kids, and they'd buy something for every one of the kids and everything.
Before Creepers, I didn't think I really did stuff that would appeal to kids. Mm-hmm. Like kids would come up and start looking through books, and I'd tell their parents, like, you don't want them looking through that.
Yeah.
Gonna give them bad ideas.
Yeah.
But now with Creepers, I have a niece and nephew, and she's always like, when are you gonna write something I can give my kids? And I was like, now. I finally did it. I wrote something for you that you can give your kids and not end up in jail. That's what Creepers was for. It was for all my friends who have kids who want to support me but never want to put my comic books in front of them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, you had the one detective storyline.
Shorthand?
Shorthand, yeah.
It's tragic. It's about a dying 12-year-old. Every editor I showed that to was like, does he have to be dying? I'm like, oh, absolutely. That is key.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I mean,
that's key to that story. But it's not a kid's story. It's not for kids.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe you're just a bad parent waiting to be.
Well, no, I'm just thinking. I mean,
look, when I was a kid, I read disgusting things.
Well, I'm thinking, what about all these kids who are dying in real life? Cancers and other things like that. I mean, that's a perfect kind of character for them in a way.
Maybe. Let me put it this way. I am not so sophisticated as a writer that I want to tackle that as a market.
Yeah.
That comes with a weight and responsibility that I can't bear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a sensitive person. You can't lay that on me.
I'm just saying, I could see where...
You're driving me to the bottle, Mr.
Where's your bottle?
It's upstairs. I'm going to have to go all the way upstairs to refill this. You've exhausted me. You just talked about kids with cancer. You son of a bitch. It's Friday night. Supposed to be having a good time. You with the fucking cancer kids. Too many crickets. All right, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to refill my booze.
Okay. What you doing, John? I know you're watching. Let's see what else we've got here. I know what it is. I'm missing. Okay. I just gotta get it pulled up. Okay. What did I just ask? Just what's going on with you? I mean, we know you didn't watch New Mutants. We know that you haven't seen Watchmen, the TV show, yet, if you planned on watching that. And he's almost back.
What did I miss?
Well, let's see what we got here.
Did Anonymous ask another question?
Nope. Actually, John asked me what I asked him.
Who's on second? Well, we've covered it all tonight. Sci-fi. What else is good in sci-fi? What else are you enjoying? Possessor. You got to watch it. It's pervy and dark and weird. V. You loved V. Yeah. And Lone Gunman, the X-Files show.
That's an obscure show, right?
Yeah, I liked. What was the other one that came out of the X-Files? That was better. Was it Millennium or
Millennium? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah.
You know, okay, what was there was an early Fox TV show about a rich guy who slept on a cardboard box. You remember that one?
Not offhand.
Okay, there was also an early Fox show called Werewolf. I love that. That was good. That was canceled way too soon.
Yeah. So was a few other shows that were similar of that nature. There was a lot of 90s werewolf shows.
Yeah, dude, I love werewolves. I'm a big werewolf guy.
She-Wolf of London.
Super hairy. Huh?
She-Wolf of London.
I never saw She-Wolf of London.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be on my list now.
Yeah. Well, watch only the first season, because once they leave England and go to
Ireland,
they go to Los Angeles.
Oh.
And it loses everything from there. Yeah. John says he says rehearsal, work, eating, sleeping, rinse and repeat. Yep. He has started watching Night Gallery based on the review that he was on.
It's the poor man's Twilight Zone, but it's still got some good ones in there.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, Serling had a lot of that though. It wasn't just
Sterling. What a great career. What a guy, you know?
Yeah.
They don't make people like that anymore.
No, not really.
No, they make guys like you and I now. Steep decline.
We're cynical. We're too cynical.
Rod Serling, the Raven.
Alfred Hitchcock, McNamara.
Hitchcock. I love that guy, but what a creep. I have a Hitchcock shirt. Every time I put it on, someone's like, he's a real son of a bitch, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. I just can't wear my Hitchcock shirt anymore. Just reminded me how creepy he is. Yeah. Yeah, he was not, let's just say he was not a progressive gentleman.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a vindictive, petty man. But goddamn, Psycho's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, we covered Psycho back when we were doing horror films a couple weeks back.
Get me on that one. I do look at some good sci-fi. God, I'm scratching my brain now that I'm on camera. But yeah, Possessor. Kid Cronenberg. Good for you, buddy.
I'm trying to think myself now. Did you see the TV show of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy from BBC?
No.
Aww.
I never read the books, or I'm ignorant of that whole property.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. There was a kid in my like junior high school who really loved that, and I didn't like him. So therefore, I don't like that property. You know, when you're a kid and someone wears like a band T-shirt, and you're like, I don't like that guy. So now I don't like that band that he loves. That was me for like 100 people that now hate the Ramones. Because I wore a Ramones shirt every day. It was just a prick on wheels when I was in high school. So now, unfortunately, the Ramones probably have a bad reputation because of me at Northport High School. Sorry, Johnny, Joey, Dee Dee, and Marky.
Ah. And you play guitar, don't you?
No, I don't.
No, I thought you did.
No.
Why?
Because I have the drug habits of a rock star without the music. I've got the bodily abuse of a rock star without any of the talent or shame.
Well,
I can play some. You want to hear some air guitar? That's an A.
Yeah.
There's a B. I don't know. I'm a fan of music, but I just stick to making bad comic books. I haven't made any bad music.
Well, you gotta put some bad music with that ghost band then.
At one point I was really tempted to write a song, and actually, like when I first conceived of it, I was like, "Oh, at the end we'll have like an MP3 or something that you can download, and you can hear my song, Ghost Band." But it's better in your imagination, I think, than hearing me. You know what we did do? But for Nocturnal Commissions, there is a guitar player in Nocturnal Commissions, the zombie, Alton Allen.
Right.
Greg and I, as a stretch goal, we wrote a bunch of lyrics for his fictional band that was going to be a stretch goal, and we were going to make like a little CD booklet and put it in there so you could open it up and like read the lyrics to all these like dumb songs, and he was going to do some original art in there. But we didn't reach that stretch goal. But we had a great song that we really love called Bio Dad, and the chorus is, "I want to be your bio dad. I'll be the last guy you never had." And it's a love song to a lesbian couple.
Okay.
Yeah, but we never got to get that stretch goal, so it never happened.
I actually kind of...
You know how hard it is to rhyme turkey baster? Very hard. Maybe if we ever get to do follow up on Nocturnal Commissions, I hope we do, but Greg is... he has an opportunity now that he's working on a project for a publisher, and then we're going into our original graphic novel, so he's not going to be free until the end of this year. He and I both want to come back to Nocturnal Commissions. This is like our favorite thing that we've ever done, this book.
Yeah.
So we want to find a proper publisher. Doing it through Kickstarter is fine for me, but he's got a family now, and his requirements are a little bit different, and I respect that.
I'm surprised that it wasn't picked up already.
I'm shocked. What do people want?
But it's weird though, because I mean, there's other people that have done Kickstarters that have been getting picked up by publishers.
Yeah.
And like Blood Force Trauma. I don't know if you remember that one by Jake Smith and Hiram Corbett.
I don't. I'm also on a budget.
Okay. Well, their book was picked up by Albatross Press, which is the guys who do The Goon. And and I think he was a good, yeah. And when the book was supposed to ship through Diamond, they canceled them out instead of shipping the book, and I don't know why. Jake's never told me, so he's back on Kickstarter.
Huh.
And I'm like, how many times does that happen? A lot. I've been finding a lot of these.
Well,
guys, it's weird.
There is the cachet of having a publisher, right? And you would think that takes care of the team, but I'll tell you, like case study, The Rattler. Greg and I did The Rattler as a Kickstarter, and then we went through Image, and we sold 10 times as many copies through the direct market than we did as a Kickstarter, right?
Sure.
We made almost the exact same dollar amount, like that I paid, that we paid ourselves from the Kickstarter, that we did having a book through a major publisher, the third biggest publisher. Like the best you can do as an indie creator is really Image. And if the money was the same.
Yeah. So
yes, you're moving fewer copies, but you're cutting out, a distributor and all these things. And I want to be in comic book stores. I love comic book stores. They're like church to me, the closest thing to a church to me. But financially, like you go into a comic book store and you look at indie books, I bet you many of them didn't make a profit. I bet you many of them worked on a page rate of $50 to $70 a page for the entire team.
Which
means the writer was working for free. The writer was probably the letterer, also working for free. And then the artist probably colored themselves, or the colorist got paid and the artist didn't. Like a lot of it is you're doing it on faith. You're doing it because you love comic books, and it's the only thing that we want to do. But so to say, like, I see this a lot. Like I'll see people do a Kickstarter. Jimmy Palmiotti is the king of Kickstarters, and he'll do a Kickstarter, and there's always one comment of someone saying, well, I'm sure he has friends in the industry that would publish this for him. And I'm like, it's not the same thing at all. If you have to manage a creative career, you need to do like my landlord doesn't, when I write her a check, she doesn't say to me, Jason, was this generated from a publisher or Kickstarter? Like, she doesn't give a shit. Like, she cashes the check and says, "Thank you so much. I'll see you in a month."
Yeah.
So as a creative
individual, as long as the check clears, that's all they care.
Yeah. So as a creative individual, you have to manage your career and find the best thing for yourself. So if you're not moving tens of thousands of units, and I am not moving tens of thousands of units to the direct market,
right?
Kickstarter is not unfortunately, but it is the way that I can manage and control a career and pay my rent. I would love nocturnal commissions to be in stores, but if I were to solicit it myself, it would probably lose money. It would cost me to put this through comic book stores, and unfortunately, that's just the truth. If Image or Dark Horse or Boom were to put their logo on this and move it through stores, that would give it the endorsement. That could get it into maybe 10,000 copies, in which case that would be great for Greg and I. So there are opportunities. For me, myself, I've decided years ago that I will make my own opportunities. And if someone else wants to come along and bring it to the direct market, I will absolutely partner with them. But if I have to sit around and wait for permission to do what I love, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do what I love and work with the creators that I work with. And I work with, Greg Hinkle, in my opinion, is one of the best illustrators on the planet. He is really that good, and I believe in him that much. He is as good or better than anybody else making a comic book this month. Marvel, DC, Humanoids, anyone ever. I'll stack him. I'll put him up against anybody as a creative.
Okay.
He absolutely, no doubt in my mind. And he's also a swell human being.
I need to get him on the shows too at some time. I haven't talked.
He's a busy guy. He just had a baby, so he is. I have a hard time getting text return from him, so I would not count on him this year. Wait till his kid is 2 or 3. And you
Season 7.
You can get us both on the show and see how different we are, and you can pity that poor sweet kid and how he got lassoed with me. Yeah.
Uncle Jason.
Yeah. Like, how'd you end up with this guy? He needed a green card, so I married him. That's how he ended up here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Is I believe Nocturnal Commissions is as professional made as any.
I think it's an awesome book.
But if I have to wait around,
I order 6 copies of it.
Did you order?
Yeah, I ordered 6 copies.
You did. Yeah. Did you get them in the mail?
Yeah.
You know why? Because I didn't send it media mail. I sent the priority mail.
Yeah. Actually, you sent me a whole box. You sent me a big box and with packing and stickers and other stuff with it.
Yeah, because I'm a generous soul.
Yeah.
I take care of all my backers. It means a lot to me. Like, I love ordering stuff in the mail. So like when Fright Rags will do like a Halloween box, I can't wait to get that in the mail. And I'll do like a video of me opening because I'm a kid. Like, I love that stuff. I love getting stuff in the mail. So I think a lot about the packaging and what it's like to open it. And just like, you paid for something, you should get an experience and not just like a package thrown at you. So we took, for a sucker, we took all of our mailers, or I took all of our mailers, and I sprayed them with red paint like it was blood. Unfortunately, the post office was a little bit alarmed. So some packages were wrapped in plastic, and it would say like "not biohazard" on it. Some of my backers were like, "Yeah, the post office was not amused." Oop, are you there? The post office was not amused by me covering packages in blood.
Yeah.
For any Kickstarters out there, don't cover your packages in red paint. The post office is not amused.
Yeah, I'm trying to find your box.
Are you late for another show?
No.
Are you going to be in the 3rd hour of the Today Show? Yeah, I box all of it here. I don't use like a fulfillment center. Before COVID, I had an intern working with me. Yeah. Priority. Look at that. Not media mail. Who shows you respect? McNamara does. Priority mail. That costs $12 to ship. I lost money on that.
Yeah. Let's see what else in here.
Spiders. I sent you like a box full of spiders. Yeah. Yeah. Stickers.
Yeah. And then, of course, the copies, and every one of them have the the mermaid.
Yeah, so I couldn't get Greg to sign the actual books.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this was expensive, but we made an extra print. Greg did an original illustration. I sent it to him. He signed all of them, shipped them to me, and then I put them with all the books to make up for the fact, because I made a promise to my backers that Greg would sign them, and because of COVID, we couldn't.
Right.
And I could have shipped it out without them, but I don't want to be the person who sends an update saying, "Hey, you're not getting this thing."
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't do that. If I make a promise, I have to keep it. Like that's just it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like your relationship with your backers is golden.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most important thing you have. And I have backers who come back for every campaign since 2015. And you have to treat those people like gold because they keep a roof over your head. So COVID or not, like I have to make up for that. The fact that Greg is not going to sign the actual book. So we came up with a print. I shipped them to him. He signed them. And then I shipped them out with everybody. Yeah, I still got some of them over here. I mean, I wish there were conventions.
$15 postage.
15?
15.
Yeah, I lost money on that.
Okay. Sorry about that.
But don't be. Because I want you to have the experience of having those books. Like that reward level is worth it to me to make you happy, to make people. It was the retailer reward.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose money when you deal with retailers. You just do. But you do it because you want to be in stores. Because you want to have somebody go into a store and have the excitement of finding your book on the shelf.
Right.
To me, that is worth losing money on.
Yeah. And then I took these copies and I went to every store in Columbia and no one would carry the damn thing. And I was about ready to punch people in the face.
Why?
Because you get a diamond book.
Because because it didn't come from Diamond?
Basically, yeah.
Huh.
They did the same thing to Mark Andrew Smith with Gladstone's Goal for World Conquerors books. They did the same thing when I tried to promote Blood Force Trauma.
That's interesting because there's like a Facebook group for like an alternative distribution during COVID. And I sold quite a few Nocturnal Commissions that way that were not through Diamond. When Diamond was shut down, I was shipping out copies of Nocturnal Commissions to people. It doesn't have a barcode on it. That might be a holdup.
Yeah, maybe.
But
yeah, I think that could be it. Yeah, they don't have the barcode, or it doesn't have a price tag, or yours has a price tag on it. I think.
It does have a price tag on the back.
Right.
I didn't on the back. Yeah, I didn't want to mess up Greg's beautiful cover.
Yeah, well, it still has a price point on it. That's the point.
Yeah.
Some of these guys don't have a price point on there.
But I've seen retailers selling it for $10 or $15. Like the price point is a suggestion.
Yeah, like like this Kid Nefarious book that Mark's published, and doesn't have a price point on it. And they're like, well, that's why we don't want it because there's not a price point. I'm like, okay, then you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Here's I spent this much. Pay me this. You can sell it for whatever you can get for it. Type thing. If that's what you want to do, I don't care. The idea is to get this stuff out, and their attitude was, well, this came out through Image, which Gladstones did come out through Image back in the day, and it didn't sell for us. I'm like, how do you know it didn't sell for you? Because I was here when that book came out through Image, and you didn't order any.
Right.
Because I was here. I was like the only person who ordered it in a trade, and there was never anything on the shelf. I had a special order to trade just to get that. So don't tell me you didn't try. You ordered it and it didn't sell for you and you didn't carry it.
Don't tell the Raven you didn't try.
Yeah, but that was one of my big things there. But that's I think why we all end up going to Kickstarter. Though I think there's a lot of us doing these things, whether it's through Image or Dark Horse or wherever, that you'd think that the retailers would be supporting us, and they're not. And then we end up going, either digital or crowdfunding or both.
Well, I generally, with comics, I definitely generally order or offer a retailer level.
Sure, I think we should. I'm not saying you shouldn't.
But I'm telling you, that level always loses me money. But I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Because
I want to get in front of people, and if a retailer gives you $30 of their money, that's $30 they could be spending on Marvel or DC books. Like that is a huge leap of faith, and I appreciate that. And I'm willing to meet
absolutely. The ones that are supporting you, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the guys that are kind of snobbish, and saying, "Wow."
But I also think they know their audience better. So there's a comic book store by me up the hill, and there's an elementary school up there. They've never once carried any of my books.
Well, that's
because they deal with kids, and I get it. Like, I don't take it personally. I go in there and I buy books, and I'll special order things that they don't carry. I'll be like, "Can you get me this Vertigo book?" or whatever it is,
Yeah, right.
But I also know that their budget is tight. They have a retail space. Like, you've worked in retail. Like, those numbers are tight. Those numbers are ugly. Like, if you're running a comic book store in 2021, it's because you love comics.
Okay, so they're by an elementary school. Then they should be selling a lot of books like Underdog and My Little Pony, and
they do a lot of game stuff. They have a lot of game nights. I feel like they're a comic book store, but they've really pushed the gaming stuff.
Right. That's probably true.
Which I'm completely ignorant of.
Yeah.
I have a personal trainer, and he is way into Magic the Gathering. He's like 25. He's like tattooed up to his chin, and he's like, "Yo, I just went to a Magic the Gathering thing, and I got a bunch of cards for some kids." He's just like, he loves it. And I work with a gentleman at my school who was a painter for Magic the Gathering, and he painted some of the original cards.
Oh, cool!
And he still does conventions, and he does like the playmates, or like the mat that you play on. Yeah, he paints those. He does really well. He's pretty popular in that regard. I don't want to say his name. I don't want to name drop.
Go ahead. Doesn't matter. I mean,
he's not as famous as the Raven.
Oh, I'm sure he's more famous than me. I mean, Mark Pools, another one of those guys that's right here in Columbia. That's a Magic the Gathering guy.
Yeah, and again, like, it's a really passionate community that it's just not my sectum of nerddom.
Yeah, the last show last store appearance I made was in December at a gaming store, and they were all playing their Magic the Gathering. Like, well, why don't you do that? And I'm like, well, basically, to me, it's an overly complicated game of war.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you got a point there.
Here's the thing about like Magic the Gathering and D&D that I have to explain to adults. I was like, that's a game for people who have friends.
Yeah.
If you're like me and you just want to, like, if you grew up like alone, like a piece of veal in a cage, like, you don't get it. I just don't get it. And I have people in my life that are all about D&D.
I played all the tabletop role-playing games in the 80s and early 90s. But
see, you had friends, you son of a bitch. Humble brag. Humble brag. Raven had friends growing up. Oh, look at the big man with all the friends over here.
Where were you?
I was home alone reading comic books like a man. I was reading all of the mutants like a man.
Well, I had that too, but I also played Marvel role-playing games.
No, you needed friends for that. I went home and I watched TV and I read my comic books and I minded my own goddamn business like a man. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's been lovely talking to you. I got some Chinese food upstairs waiting for me.
Yes, you do.
And my booze. But it's always lovely to catch up with you.
Yeah.
And curse about kids' books.
Yes.
Yeah. So buy my motherfucking kids' book. You rotten bastards. And
words of that. I just lost darn page.
Oh, it's out there. You can't miss it. Just Google Jason McNamara sex criminal. It's like the first thing that pops up is my Kickstarter.
Yeah. Not the sex criminal part, though.
No. And we don't talk about that. That's a different show. All right, my friend. Are there do you do any sign-offs?
Not yet. Just wait a second. There it is. I found it. There it is again.
Tomorrow's a day behind. My middle grade reader. If you have an 8-year-old or higher and you want to give them the willies, order this book. It's $12. It comes signed by the creative team. and you'll keep not only will you keep me off the streets, but more importantly, you'll keep me off your street.
But remember, he likes to walk around in a Michael Myers mask.
Mostly Part 6, yeah. Sculpted by John Carl Bouclier. Rest in peace.
Yes. All righty.
All right. Hail Satan.
Well, Satan says shit your pants.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that next. All right, my friend. It's always a delight catching up with you. Thank you for all your support and love over the past year.
Oh, certainly.
If I had a heart in this empty cavity I call a chest, it would be warm right now.
Well, how can it be warm? You keep putting ice bourbon down in there.
I refuse to drink room temperature bourbon. What am I, a savage? Please.
Well, it's the only way it's going to get it to burn is if it's room temperature, right?
I've got standards.
Okay.
And if they were any lower, I'd be giving a hand job to a cockroach.
Okay. that's part of Sucker 2, right?
Sucker 3 coming out this fall. I was working on the Kickstarter today. Sucker 3 comes out in the fall.
Okay, Sucker 3. Okay.
That's two Kickstarters away. Don't ruin the surprise.
Okay. All righty, man.
All right, my friend. Be good.
Yes.
Keep your left up.
Yep. All right. Have a good one.
Don't tell me what to do.
All right, folks. Yep. All right. Have a good one. That was a nice delay, wasn't it? If you guys want to reach me, you can reach me on Facebook at Lewis Bright Raven, on Twitter at Lewis Bright Rave 2, at DeviantArt.com/Bright Raven, YouTube at Quoth Raven Bright Raven, Quoth Raven LBR72 at gmail.com. And by the way, guys, since season 3 started, I haven't had any questions or any emails from you guys. What's going on with that? Am I just being that complete with our shows and that you don't have questions anymore, or is it that you guys are all watching other people's art shows now? I don't know, because I know a lot of guys have been watching some of the other artists that have been guests. They're doing their live draws, so maybe that's it. But anyway, you can reach me at the Gmail address or at lewisbrightraveny@yahoo.com. So Monday, I will be back with news and reviews. Wednesdays we'll do What Did You Get This Week, which is what I bought at the comic shop or what I get in the mail. Thursdays, we'll do the roundtable talk with whichever guest we get next week. And next week's genre will be fantasy, and we'll do fantasy films or fantasy novels. I'm not sure which yet. We'll see who comes in as our guest host, possibly as well. One thing people have been asking about is the Saturday and Sunday live draw. That's going to be coming up later in the month, after the Super Bowl. We're hoping to get a multiple artist group for live draw, not just myself. Michael Pennick, who was our guest this week on Thursday night show, has already said he's interested, and we might have a couple of other people interested as well. So we'll see what goes on later this month with that. But that's what we're waiting for, scheduling everybody and getting everybody on the same time slot for that. So I'll see you guys next time, and see you on Monday. All right. Have a good one.